Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, if you're on YouTube and you're under the age of 40, I'm sure you're very familiar with this guy. He is Nick Miller with the channel Nick's Strength and Power. Welcome, Nick.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Going well. Now, you, not much longer than a year ago, you only had 70,000 subscribers, which isn't shabby by any means, but now you're at over 45,000 subscribers. Your total views, you're almost at 226 million. That is outstanding, sir. Outstanding.
I appreciate that, man. It's been a wild ride.
And you're 25 years old. That's it.
Yep.
Wow. So let's find out about this character, Nick Miller. Because I mean, we know the voice. We've seen some bicep posing, some Corvettes and hedgehogs, but I want to know how this all started. So you're from the Cincinnati, Ohio area?
Yep.
Okay. How did you first get interested in all this stuff?
So my dad's the one that got me into it. My dad's always been into bodybuilding as a competitive bodybuilder back in the 80s. Actually, he did NPC Nationals back in 82 or 83, and he was top 5 there.
Wow.
Teen Nationals. So he's the one that got me into all this when I was like 13 years old. I've seen he's got all the old muscle and fitness magazines and all the old Arnold books and all that stuff. So I got into reading those books. I decided to start a YouTube channel because of seeing all his old bodybuilding stuff. So
did he start you off training?
Yep.
Wow.
When I was 13, he took me to the local rec center for the first time. Then when I was 15, he took me to World Gym Cincinnati, and that was my first experience being in like a hardcore gym environment. Because back then it was like before social media, so it wasn't really a whole lot of kids in the gym. It was like a lot of old timers and it's kind of hardcore bodybuilding fans. I was like the youngest guy in the gym, so it was a pretty cool experience.
I mean, Ohio's got it's always had good bodybuilders like Mike Francois, and you could probably rattle off a lot more, but powerlifting, my goodness. It's like,
yeah.
You know, that West Side Barbell Club over in Columbus area,
Yep.
I think they've always had like half the world record holders of everything in that one little gym. Now, when you first got into it, what were your goals? Did you want to be a bodybuilder? Did you want to be a power lifter, or you just wanted to be bigger and stronger in general?
I just wanted to get bigger than my dad. That was the main goal, man. I mean, you've got a son. Does he work out?
He does. He doesn't actually want to be as big as me or bigger, and I'm cool with that because it's a pain in the ass. I'm not a giant, but just for me to be 225, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet it is. That's about what my dad weighs right now.
Okay. So
how old are you? Are you in your 40s or your 50s?
Just turned 49 last week. Thank you very much.
Okay, my dad's 53, so you're not too much younger than him.
No, we're in the same age bracket for sure. So, are you? I don't know did you get bigger than your dad yet, or are you almost there?
Oh yeah, I got bigger than him.
Wow, okay.
So when I started working out, the first thing I did was I competed in powerlifting. So when I competed in powerlifting, I bulked up to almost 230 pounds. I'm only 5'9". My dad right now, like I said, he's like 220, so I was bigger than him at that point. Right now I'm like 195.
You say only 5'9". Dude, I never even saw 5'9", so I would have been happy to get that extra half inch when I was taller. But so you competed you started really young. I mean, how old at what point were you lifting where you realized I'm actually a lot stronger than the other kids my age? I'm stronger than a lot of guys at my gym who are a lot older than me.
When I was maybe 16 or 17, I benched like 245 for the first time. And at my school, it was a big deal just to bench 2 plates.
Yeah.
So anybody benching 2 plates or more was a big deal. So at that point, I kind of became known as the guy that worked out. Because back then, like I said, social media wasn't a thing. So no one was really posting pictures on Instagram or going to the gym for bodybuilding or to be cool. So it was kind of a weird thing back then to be into that. And I would always talk about, because I would go to the Arnold Classic back when I was in high school. Yeah. I would come back and post the pictures on Facebook, and people would be like, what is this thing you're going to, man? Because no one had ever seen anything like it. And that's actually why I started the channel, because on Facebook, I would go and get the, backstage passes and take pictures of the guys backstage. And I posted on Facebook, and no one would really understand it. And I thought I had these awesome pictures. I wanted to share them with people, so I started my YouTube channel to make kind of a video collage of the pictures. And that's kind of how I got started.
And you told me in a brief phone call, you've actually had, press credentials to Arnold Classic since you're 15 years old?
Since 2009, I think. That was the year Kai Green won, right? That was the first year I had.
Yeah, I think it's the first time he won. Yeah. Wow. So, then from day one, were you also like a fan of the sport? Were you looking at the websites and the magazines and starting to get a sense of who all the key
I've
athletes were?
had a subscription to Flex magazine probably since before I started working out because my dad was subscribed to it, and I would read all the Flex magazines.
Yeah.
I think the first one I saw, John Cena was on the cover, like when John Cena was first hitting the scene. So it's been a while that I've been seeing the magazines.
So when did you have aspirations yourself of competing from day one? Did you know that's something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I always wanted to look like my dad. I had all the photo albums of him when he competed, and I always thought it was a cool look. I did that show back in 2016, The Natural Kentucky.
Yeah.
So that was a cool experience, but doing it naturally was just, I mean, I got so depleted, man. Like I said, I came down from 220. My stage weight was about 145.
Yeah.
So it was a massive cut.
Yeah, I mean, I started competing at 19, did my last show at 43, and I competed for several years, a good chunk of years as a natural competitor. My hat's off to you and anyone who does it naturally, because you will not keep all the muscle. There's just no way you're going to get very, very lean and keep the muscle. It's a totally different experience. So I can, I certainly don't say that people on gear don't work hard, but you have to, you have to suffer a little bit more to get in shape as a natural bodybuilder. And as you experienced, you end up losing some of your muscle along with the fat if you want to get in shape.
Yeah, it's a process, man. I didn't really like it. The process of cutting down sucked. It was fun to be on stage, but the process sucked, man.
Yeah. And so was that the only, you competed just once in bodybuilding?
That was the only show I've done. I'm planning on doing the Mr. Cincinnati at some point. That's the show my dad did a bunch of times. Actually, he competed with Matt Mendenhall at the same Mr. Cincinnati that Matt did.
Yeah.
You know who Franco Santoriello is?
I know who everybody is, yeah.
He competed with him at the Mr. Actually, that was at Nationals. He competed against him, so he's competed against all these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, for the people that have never heard of him, Matt Mendenhall, you got to Google him, because this is when we talk about how easy it is to turn pro now, and some of the guys back in the day who were so much better than 99% of the pros today, but never got their pro card because it was really hard to turn pro back then. And Matt Mendenhall is a prime example. Good-looking blonde guy with this incredible physique. Why didn't he ever turn pro? It was hard. They weren't giving out many pro cards back in those days.
Right.
But geez, Matt Mendenhall from Ohio.
I've heard some very interesting stories about Matt. Growing up in that gym and World Gym, all these old timers, that's all they do is tell stories about the old days. And I've heard some pretty cool stories about Matt and the club scene that Matt was involved in and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, was he a party guy? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he was. I don't know if I should put all of it out there, but I've heard some good stories.
He was actually also the boyfriend for a time of Rachel McLeish.
Miss Olympia, yep.
Miss Olympia, so yeah. Mel
she used to train at World Gym Cincinnati back in the day, too. There's pictures of her hanging up on the wall.
Wow, she still looks good, and she's got to be up there, let me tell you.
Yeah, I saw her at the Arnold this year, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
yep.
She's also done some action movies. Iron Eagle 3, yeah.
I did not know that.
I bet you didn't know they made 3 Iron Eagle movies. Now
I didn't know they made one.
Iron Eagle with Lou Gossett Jr. The first one wasn't bad. I think after that, as with anything else, it was all downhill. So you started your channel at what, 19 years old?
I started in 2012, actually.
Yeah.
So I would have been 16, maybe.
Oh wow, geez.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I mean,
so I've been doing this for a long time.
What were your first few videos about, or what was your process back then of how you were going to think up what to make a video about?
Well, the first few videos were just me like training at the gym, so I thought, that's a cool thing to put out there. And at the time, that was the popular thing to do, is people were first starting to vlog their workouts and stuff back in 2012 was kind of like the beginning of that. Then I started getting into the bodybuilding coverage because I thought it was interesting, so I probably started that in 2013.
Yeah. So, when you cover it, you're basing it off of, I'm sure you've heard this argument, like, you have to be there, you got to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you've done a pretty good job analyzing things based off webcasts and contest photography, which, high definition photography, I don't think it lies.
Yeah.
We got some amazing digital resolution these days. It's pretty hard
That's the one thing I say when people say that to me is you got to be there in person. I've been to the Arnold for 10 years in person, and I got to say, watching the live stream is almost better than watching the Arnold live in person, unless you've got a front row seat. You've got a better view, and you're just looking at the screen anyway if you're in the audience. So
I say it all the time, and sometimes I catch shit because, I don't want to. I'm grateful for any press credentials and everything, but sometimes I'm not seated that close. Sometimes I'm in the front row, right up there in the middle, and that's perfect. But at a bodybuilding show, if you're beyond maybe the first 10 rows, you might as well be home watching on the computer.
Exactly.
And I know I just got a lot of people pissed off because they want to sell those tickets. But
and I get pretty good seats at the Arnold too. I'm probably about 10 rows back, and I'd still look at the screen. So it's like,
right. Well, the screen can zoom in, and they're showing
yeah.
angles that you can't see. You know.
And that's why I didn't go to the Olympia this year. I went to the Olympia last year, and I figured it'd be better to stay at home and get up quicker coverage, because last year you got to go back to your hotel room, you got to wait for all the stuff to upload, and it just takes longer. Yeah. Whereas this year I was working with Team Andro, and they were sending me the pictures like from the audience. So I was making videos while the show was still happening. And it just seemed to be a smarter way to do it.
Matthias Boos, excellent photographer.
Excellent.
Okay. So I just want to read off some of these views you get on these videos are just insane to me. So here are the ones. This is the ones I was trying to look through all your videos. You have like 1,600 videos uploaded.
Yeah.
So I wasn't patient enough to go through all of them, but it looks to me like the top viewed video you've ever made was Synthol Kid Gets His Arms Drained. 19 million views. Is that correct?
Yep, that's the most viewed one.
Yeah. So people, why do you think that one caught so many people? Obviously, it's disgusting. It's like the people that watch Dr. Pimple Popper, which I love that show. But do you think people love that video because he's a moron and it's like, this is what you get, you idiot?
People like the sensationalistic content, which is the thing. You know, a lot of people catch flack for like the clickbait stuff, but really, you know, every video you make is clickbait. You want people to click the video you're watching. And the thing that I do is when I make a video, I go off of what people request that they want to see. And when this kid first hit the scene, I got more requests to make a video about this idiot than anybody else. So I made a video about the kid. It went viral. Obviously, that was reflective of what people wanted to see because so many people were asking to see it. So when a video comes across as like clickbaity, it's really because that's what the audience is asking for, and it gets so many views because that's reflective of what they want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for people to say that, it's like, if you have a YouTube channel, your goal is to get views.
Exactly.
It's not like you don't want people to watch your video. That's ludicrous. When bodybuilders retire, which showed guys downsizing, which is, I think, another thing. A lot of this is what the Germans call Schadenfreude. Am I saying it right?
I think so.
It's the rejoicing in the misery of others. So they like to see these big, larger-than-life characters when they're off the drugs, so then they can say, "Ha! It was all drugs." So that one got 4.9 million views. What happened to Scott Steiner's chest? Big Papa Pump.
That was a cool one. I actually got to meet Scott Steiner and interview him after I made that video. So he saw the video. He told me that after the interview. He didn't tell me during the interview, but he saw the video. So that was cool to get to meet Scott. He didn't talk about anything related to the video in the interview, but it was cool.
Now, I didn't watch that video. What did happen to his chest?
He never said. What the speculation was when he was in Mexico. He got kicked in the chest, and it did like some serious nerve damage to like the center of his chest, and he was just never able to, you know, train that. It was just atrophied. Because
if they were torn, it would have been from the other side. It would have been from the armpit over the insertion. That's a very strange look. Yeah, he said he's never had a tear, so that's the interesting thing. He definitely had a lot of oil in his arms. I'll say that right up front. Sorry, Scott. His arms were not oil free. Yeah, you have a WWE Championship belt up on the mantle behind you there. Oh yeah, my buddy got that for me for my birthday this year, actually. Okay, yeah. I mean, I have nothing. In fact, I came to bodybuilding through pro wrestling as a kid. I had no idea what bodybuilding was, but I saw these pro wrestlers when I was a kid. When it was like superstar Billy Graham, Jimmy Snuka, the Superfly, Hulk Hogan when he was a bad guy the first time. Those Ivan Putski, those guys were larger than life superheroes to me. I love wrestling. Billy Graham was a beast, man. He trained with Arnold and everything. If anyone has no idea, he actually had a better physique in the 70s than a lot of the guys competing at the Olympia level. I don't think his legs were anything great, but upper body, yeah. There's pictures of him doing like a chest and a single bicep shot that rivals Arnold, I think, for terms of. Yeah, I've seen that one. He was a badass. Geez, how strong was Arnold? 3.9 million views. How to spot fake weights? 4.6 million views. Glad you made that one, and you made one of that chick in Brazil that drives me insane with the fake weights. That one caught me a lot of flack, actually. The Brazilian media picked up that video on national TV in Brazil. So on Instagram, all these Brazilians were adding me for months and just talking all this shit about I guess they love this girl in that country. She's like a superstar there. She's hot as hell, but those are fake weights. Come on. Oh, absolutely they are. She was doing 405-pound squats. She's like a 130-pound girl, beautiful.
Well, she was doing 500-pound squats, and she was saying it was like 30 reps.
Yeah, and she was not perfect composure. Little wasn't even breathing that hard. The bar was not bending, so she was pretending. So,
Absolutely.
Now your hedgehog your late hedgehog. Did it have a name? You always call it Hedge.
His name was Hedge. Yeah.
Oh, not very original.
Very creative there.
But I'm surprised because you did one where he bench pressed 600 pounds. I guess it was relative 600-pound weight. How'd you calculate that exactly?
Well, I was making fun of the other guy that uses fake weights, and his big fake bench press was about 600 pounds. And he was like repping out 600 like crazy. So in that video, I did like a little montage of the hedgehog watching the video where the guy benches the fake 600 pounds. Then I had a 600-pound like replica barbell, and I lifted it up with some strings, made it look like he lifted it.
2.7 million views to watch a hedgehog lift some fake weights. So who's the guy? Did we say the guy in the video? Because you must have said
Brad Castleberry.
Oh, Brad. Okay, yeah. Brad's been called out many times, so you wouldn't be the first. I thought that would get a lot of views, but my hedgehog gets a bath got 4.2 million views.
That one surprised me.
That's like the cute kitten video, I guess. I mean, people like cute animals. Yeah, I mean, getting back to that, I mean, how often have you had backlash from, you say what's on your mind and you call people out, and that's what you got to do as a quote unquote, we're all journalists of one type or another. You're reporting on something, and you must get some heat. You just said these Brazilians want to string you up and probably flog you.
I would say the Brazilian thing was probably the biggest backlash. I don't really get that much backlash, to be honest with you. I mean, the bodybuilding stuff, bodybuilding is entirely subjective. So really, if anyone disagrees, they just voice their disagreement in the comment section. That's about it. Phil Heath has complained a little bit about some of the stuff that I've said about his midsection, but other than that, I mean, I think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, I mean,
Louis Marco was the one with the whole bubble gut. He coined that phrase. Yes. I try not to use that phrase when I talk about it. Louis Marco was kind of disrespectful with the way that he marketed that whole thing. But I think this year, it was an issue, and I think it's worth pointing out. Whether Phil likes it or not, I mean, I can't be biased about it. It was there.
Yeah. I mean, I just got I just interviewed Phil, and that went up, and I'm getting a lot of heat because people think I was too nice to him.
I saw that. But, you mentioned the bubble gut directly, or the gut directly.
I think the only way people would have been happy with that, and I don't know, are you going to get into interviews eventually, you think?
This year, I probably had 24 pros at least message me asking me to interview them, and I passed on all of them. I want to wait till I get to 1 million.
Okay, so people better keep adding subscriptions to them so this process can be hastened up. But I agree. I didn't attack him, but I think they would only be happy if I sat there and yelled at Phil and said, "You suck. You have a gut. You're the worst. You're finished." And Phil started crying and said, "Yeah, you're right. You're right." Well, that's the only way a certain element of the people out there would have been really satisfied, and I'm not going to do that.
What do you think about the torn insertion, the torn hernia thing? Do you think that's a excuse?
It's you made a video and you were zooming in on it. It's something that's not a regular quote unquote bubble gut from GH or insulin. There was more going on there. It looked like the abs were like coming away from each other.
I agree, because that's the main criticism I got on that video, is that I was being too nice to him because I was agreeing with him, and people were saying, "Man, it's just another excuse. It's going to be the same case when he comes back." But I think there was something there that wasn't there before. You can clearly see there's something going on there.
I mean, the only way for him to shut people up would be, medical X-rays, and he would have to actually have the surgery for this next surgery he's having done October 18th. He would have to have that surgery streamed live, so people watch him go in the hospital, make sure there's no cutting away. Then they might actually believe him, because people want to hate Phil. A lot of people, no matter what he does or says, they're always going to wish him the worst and think the worst of him.
That's actually one thing I wanted to address, was something he said in that interview. He said, the guys that make these clickbait videos about him, he's like, you can just ask me before you make these videos. And me and Phil, we had a really good conversation before he went on stage for prejudging. We had a great conversation. After I made my prejudging wrap-up, Phil blocked me. Then he unblocked me. Then we had a great conversation before the night show. And so when his girlfriend posted that post about him not coming back, the first thing I did was message Phil, and I said, "Are you okay?" He read the message and never replied. So I went back and I just made the video. I saw RX did their post, so I made the video. So when the tear came out, when he said the thing about the tear, I messaged him again. I said, you want me to make a video about this? I can get this out there for you since you want people to know, this is what happened. Didn't reply. So his point was just ask me if you want to make a video about it, and I've asked him, and he doesn't reply. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand he probably had 5,000 direct messages.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was busy, but
still, yeah. I mean, dude, you can't always get to these. You take heat for these things sometimes because you didn't check your facts, and why didn't you go to the athlete first? You tried. Sometimes you do go to the athlete, you don't hear back for a couple days, and meanwhile 5 other, 10 other, 20 other people have made a video talking about it, and now you've lost your. Now when you make yours, you're like nobody wants to hear it anymore. It's over. It's done with. So
and that's exactly it. I mean, how interesting is bodybuilding without any speculation? If you just go straight to the athlete for everything and get a yes or no answer, I mean, the speculation is fun. That's what makes bodybuilding interesting.
And also, some of the athletes, they're not going to tell you the truth.
Exactly.
Because they're trying to cover their ass. They want to, they want to look the best. So, if you're asking them something that's not something they don't really want out there, whether it's true or not, they're not going to say, yeah, that's what happened. I took too much insulin, or I did this or that. They're not going to tell you that.
Exactly.
So, I wanted to get into something with you because I know there was a controversy. I think was it on Dave's show where they were one of those Iron Rage debate something Muscle in the Morning. I know he has a lot of shows where they were talking about guys like you aren't real journalists because you've never had anything printed in a print magazine. Was that them?
Yep, that's what he said, which was interesting because I don't know if you consider Muscle Sport to be a real magazine, but I've had several columns posted in that magazine.
No comment. But sorry, no comment. But I had to think about that because I've made my entire livings over the past 20 years or so writing for print magazines, which are, whether as painful a reality as is for me to accept, they're going away. There's not.
I think they're already gone. I was looking for an issue of Muscular Development at Walmart yesterday. I couldn't find one. Went to Target, couldn't find one.
Yeah, you got to go.
So it's like it's not even out there.
You got to go to like Barnes and Noble or something. But yeah, I mean, and I get it, and you can elaborate on this. But if I was 20, 25 years old right now, 2018, here are my options. I'm gonna get some shit for this from my own boss. $7 for a magazine, or here's my phone, here's my computer, and I have all this stuff free of charge, and it's being updated every minute by minute. It's live. It's this and that. Why would I buy a magazine? I probably wouldn't.
That's exactly it. I mean, the principle behind Dave's argument really makes no sense. I mean, what we're doing is the smart thing to do. I mean, why wouldn't we take advantage of this outlet that we have and use that in a journalistic way rather than let's go try to write a magazine article that probably no one's going to read. I mean, if you're 24 years old, what are the chances you're going to get in a magazine to begin with, and you want your opinion out there? You've got YouTube. I mean, why wouldn't you utilize it?
And, I could easily sit here and go, you little brat, you're on YouTube. What the hell is YouTube? But, I have to recognize that 2018, YouTube is as legitimate a form of media as a magazine that you hold in your hand. Just it's electronic, it's digital, whatever. But who am I to say that you talking about the Arnold Classic on a YouTube video is any more valid a form of journalism than me writing an article that's printed in a few pieces of paper? It's just modern technology. It's the same thing, different version, more updated version. It's going to be. I mean, look at your numbers. Look at the views you get on these things. I don't know any bodybuilding magazines that have the circulation of some of these views you get on these videos. They're crazy. So,
especially when you consider the fact that the subject matter is bodybuilding and it's entirely subjective. So any journalistic perspective on bodybuilding is going to be subjective anyway. So really when you're weighing the value of an opinion, I mean, it's kind of hard to do when you're talking about bodybuilding. So what is a journalist in bodybuilding? I think is anyone that can develop a following and give an opinion that's somewhat valid, but how do you really judge whether it's valid or not? Because the whole thing's subjective.
To me, it just comes down to, does this person have an eye for physiques? Can he give an accurate critique of what he's looking at and make it meaningful so that he can make people understand why this person took first, this person took second, why didn't this guy beat that guy, what does this guy need to improve on? And it's not a common thing. Not that many people have that ability, that what I call the eye for physiques like that. You do, and a few other people that make these videos obviously do, or else it would just be meaningless commentary and they wouldn't get views and they wouldn't get subscribers. I think the market always dictates what's going to succeed and what's not going to succeed.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is I could see Dave's point where if it was just any idiot getting on the computer giving some stupid opinion, I could see that point. But if it were a stupid opinion that I were giving, people wouldn't come to watch it. Is the point? So, like you said, the market dictates that. Yeah. So I don't think he's got a valid point there.
Right. I mean, it's like pop music. I hate to compare it to something so banal. Who am I to say that Cardi B, she's worthless, she's got no talent, she sucks? Obviously, a lot of people don't feel that way,
right?
Or else she wouldn't be so incredibly successful as she is. So it's something that you can't quantify like that. And I could easily sit here and judge you and say, you brat, you're just on YouTube making videos. Who the hell are you? But you know what? You're doing exactly what I do in a different format, and you're actually reaching more people. So
that's what I was going to ask you. Is do you think bodybuilding has grown since channels like mine came into existence? Before or after channels like mine, do you think bodybuilding was better off without them or better off with them in terms of a viewership or reach, the audience that we're bringing in? Because when you get 500,000 views on a video just about the Olympia in 24 hours, I don't think there was that kind of attention on the Olympia before social media. I just don't.
No. I mean, absolutely. I think it's a good thing because you're getting more people interested in it. It's so much more available, but now people can comment on it right away. They can have debates with each other and discussions about whatever you're talking about. I mean, I think social media, in terms of bodybuilding, of course it has some negative elements to it, but social media has negative elements to every aspect of society that it affects. But for our little world, I think it gets more attention to the sport, to the athletes. It's definitely a good thing because all we had in the old days was magazines. And we like to the older guys, we like to glorify those days because there was more of a mystique around it, but at the same time, it didn't have the reach. This is what you're doing and what a few other people like you are doing. You can impact millions and millions of people right away, immediately after. You could have a video up talking about the Olympia 5 minutes after Shawn Rhoden wins.
Right.
Because, when I was your age, back in the old days, these magazines didn't come out for 5 or 6 weeks. You couldn't see one picture from the Olympia for well over a month after the Olympia was over. And you couldn't hear a contest report, any kind of critiques, nothing. Now, boom, in your face. 1,000 videos made right away with everybody putting their 2 cents in about it, pictures, videos. People are up there in the front, illegally streaming on their Instagram and their Facebook live. I think if you want to reach more people, make the sport more popular, the way it's being done now, it's exactly what needs to be done.
I think the best example of that is the Classic Physique division. It's a new division they introduced. And I really think that if it weren't for channels like mine and other channels like mine giving so much attention to that division, and if we're just like released in the magazines, it wouldn't be nearly as popular as it is right now and just 3 years into it. Yeah. I really think that division has grown tremendously just because of people making videos about it and getting the word out there. And if that weren't the case, I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. I don't think Classic Physique would be as popular.
I think Classic Physique, they talk about how it's like trying to bring back the old days, but I think it's more of an expression of the modern times because it's a division that didn't exist until social media was already firmly in place. Most of the stars of Classic Physique are young guys. A lot of these guys like Regan and Bumstead, Terrence. There's a whole slew of them that are Wesley. They're all young guys. They all have their own YouTube channels, their own Instagram, and the division is sort of blown up so fast, largely because of social media. If there was no social media, I think Classic Physique would be maybe a brief experiment that may or may not have even continued after 2 or 3 years. Where now, I don't know what you think. Do you think Classic Physique will eventually overtake popularity-wise open bodybuilding?
I don't think it'll overtake. I think it's going to catch up, though. I think it's going to be pretty comparable. I think bodybuilding, open bodybuilding, will always be kind of the golden standard. It's kind of like a circus, not to be disrespectful, but people want to see the freaks. I mean, people want to go and see something that they've never seen before. Whereas kind of a beach body type of look like Classic Physique, it might be more mainstream and more popular. Yeah. But at the end of the day, selling tickets, do people want to see the elephant or do they want to see, the squirrel. I mean, it's that type of thing.
Right. I mean, that's my knock on bikini. I love bikini. It's nothing personal. It's not personal. These girls think I hate them and I'm this, horrible guy. But no, it's because bikini, they're beautiful, beautiful girls. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely gorgeous women. But until you get to like the pro level, when you go to a local show, a regional show, even a national show, these are girls that you could see bodies like that in your gym. Every day at my gym, it's a pretty big gym. I see plenty of girls that could jump up on stage and do well in bikini. I don't see a lot of guys that could do well in open bodybuilding. Certainly not, they could be pro. We have a few pros, but you know what I'm saying. It's exactly what you're saying. It's an extreme look that you don't see every day. And if I'm going to pay $1,000 for a VIP package for the Olympia, I'm going there to see Rolly Winkler, Rami, Phil, Shawn, these guys that you can't see anything like that at your local gym. Or it's the elephants, the lions, and the tigers.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that bikini should be its own separate thing and not kind of a preface to a bodybuilding show? Because if you go to a local bodybuilding show, you got to sit through 70 bikini competitors. If you came to see your friend that's in the bodybuilding show, you're there for an hour and a half before they even get to bodybuilding. It just kind of turns people off from that division. I hate that division because I go to all these shows and I got to sit through it. And they all look the same to me.
Well, you got figure too. Figure, obviously it's more muscle. So if you're into muscle, there's a little muscle to look at. Women's physique, it's just a proliferance of new divisions in general, which kept the sport alive in terms of would we have half the promoters would have quit promoting shows 10 years ago if we didn't start adding these divisions because they were losing money. If it's because women's bodybuilding if you go to most contests now, they either have no women bodybuilders or like 2 show up. So they had to add all these other divisions because not many women want to look like that anymore. They weren't ready to do what it takes to get that look.
Well, do you think women's physique is kind of going down the wrong route and these girls are getting a little bit too big? I think it's essentially female bodybuilding at this point.
They're not so much getting bigger, but they are getting bigger, but the condition on them is so extreme now. It's they say one thing in the directives for what the qualities they're looking for. We're not looking for extreme condition like a bodybuilder, but that's exactly the condition those women are bringing now, especially at the pro shows. And what are you going to do? For a while, they were trying to make an example, and they were downscoring. The women that would show up shredded glutes and sunken in faces, they weren't winning. But now you see some of them do win. So, yeah, I mean, it is women's bodybuilding. I've heard rumors, and there's nothing. I shouldn't even say that because there's nothing to verify this, but I hear that they're considering getting rid of women's physique. I hope that's not true. And, women that want to build muscle, I think they should always have some sort of competitive outlet for it.
I think they should phase out one of the divisions, but I think it should be figure. I think if you don't want to be big and muscular, go to bikini. If you want to be big and muscular, go to physique. Figure is kind of a gray area for me. I mean, how do they really judge it? Whenever I watch a figure competition, it's like a bigger bikini girl or a light version of a physique girl. So I feel like there should only just be physique and bikini.
Yeah, some of the physique. I've been to shows where, like I remember the first Toronto Pro I went to was last year, and there's a lot of pros that I'd never seen or heard of before. Women's physique had like 25 competitors in it, and a lot of them were smaller than some of the pro women in the figure. So, where do you even draw the line there? Some of the women in figure would have done better, and they looked more like women's physique competitors than the women that were in the women's physique. Yeah, but what is women figure to me is bikini with big delts, more of an upper back, and some quads, and then you throw heels on. No, bikini, do they wear heels? Yeah, they do. I'm sorry. Yeah, the only ones that don't wear shoes, no, the one that's only barefoot ones are women's physique. But yeah, they're not going to get rid of any divisions. I mean,
it's a money grab. If they don't get rid of one, it's because of the money.
I mean, it is a business. That's what people don't understand. This isn't amateur athletic union where it was, it's just all about sport and this and that, and it's nonprofit. This is a business. It's for profit. You want those entry forms. You want those entry fees. You want their friends and families coming and buying tickets. Absolutely. Of course it's a money grab.
I still think, though, if that's the case, they should do a separate competition for the girls and a separate thing for bodybuilding.
True. I mean, what would you do, though? Would you have a whole separate event somewhere held separately?
I'd make it a 2-day thing, or maybe a morning for the girls, and then at night the guys, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know you believe me. These shows they're so long now. If you don't bring a cooler full of meals, you're screwed, basically. And as much as I love the athletes and everything, I sit there and I'm like, oh my God, when's this going to end? Oh my God, when's bodybuilding going to come on? Or, oh my God. Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. So yeah, what else did I want to ask you? Yeah, you probably made several videos about this, but do you think that Shawn Rhoden winning sends a message? Do you think they're trying to say this is where we want the sport to go, and we want it to become more about aesthetics and shape?
I think so. I think so for sure. I think it was definitely a changing of the guard for Shawn to win. It's a completely different physique than Phil has. I do think they were trying to send a message. I don't know if it was a conspiracy where they were trying to screw Phil, but I think Shawn winning was a little bit of them trying to send a message.
Because I have to wonder about that, because they created Classic Physique, and when they did that, I said, okay, now they did that so that here's where you can look at the aesthetic guys with the little waist if you want to, but if you want to look at the big freaks who maybe don't have the smallest waist, here's open bodybuilding. We're not going to get rid of that. And it's sort of, to me, it almost gave them like license to still have the big freaky guys where symmetry and aesthetics wouldn't have to be the overriding criteria anymore. Because like I said, if you want that, go look at the classic guys. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think that they want even the open to become more marketable looking?
I don't know if they want it to be marketable. I think they, I think they're trying to maybe send a message to Phil that you've had this problem before, and it's time that you correct it. We've rewarded you last year. It's the same situation. This year is not going to be the case. I don't think they're saying everyone should have a small waist, but if you come in with like a glaring weakness, I think they're saying it's not going to be rewarded, even if it's just like Phil was saying, it's just one body part. But I think it was so noticeable that this was the time they kind of put their fist down on it.
Okay. Let's shift back to Nick Miller. Now, Nick, you actually went to school you have a degree in something related to all this, correct?
Health science. So it's basically, it's like a general study of health. The goal with that was to get a job in like an upper management position in a hospital. So basically what it is, it's like pathology classes, talking about disease, medical terminology classes, anatomy, biology, all that good stuff, to give you kind of a general understanding of anything you would need to know if you were working in any kind of health facility. And then I minored in psychology because that was necessary for a management position. So that was my degree. I was just trying to get something as general as possible because I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do. I started out in athletic training, actually. My first 3 years was athletic training, so it took me 6 years to get my degree. But yeah, health science is what I majored in.
Okay, but I mean, did you ever work in that field, or?
Nope.
This is your job, right?
Yep, that's the interesting thing and that's the other thing that Phil was saying, is these guys do this for AdSense revenue. I'd say the first 5 years I had this channel and I was making bodybuilding videos, I didn't make a dime. I did it because I enjoyed doing it. And I would say the money, really more than anything, it keeps you consistent. I probably wouldn't post every day if I wasn't getting paid for it, but I would still post. If my channel got demonetized tomorrow, I'd still be making videos. So the month I graduated college actually was May of 2017. And that month was like the first month I started making real money. So I was going to go out and start looking for a job when I graduated. And I was looking at some of these entry-level positions. And they were saying, $35,000, $40,000 a year. And at that point in time, I had made double that month on YouTube. So I was like, maybe I want to put all my eggs in this YouTube basket for now and see how this pans out. I didn't know if it was just going to be just that month I did really well, or if I could keep that momentum going. So I decided not to look for a job, and I decided to kind of double down on the YouTube thing, and it kind of worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate, what's it called, YouTuber? Is that like the slang term for people that make money from YouTube?
Well, technically, you're a Google employee. All my paychecks come from Google, so technically that's what it's called.
Because, I mean, this is, like I said, this is 2018. It's a whole new world out there. Like some of these guys like PewDiePie, what does someone like that pull in a year? PewDiePie.
Now, I heard he makes $75,000 a day.
Wow, okay.
A day. And some of these guys that play video games, man, there's a guy called Ninja right now. He makes $500,000 a month. He doesn't even have a YouTube channel. He just live streams on Twitch or whatever it's called. Yeah. Just playing video games, and people watch him play, which blows my mind. I've never been into that. I've never played video games, really.
Yeah. Well, my son knows. He watches all those things, and he thinks these people are awesome. But Yeah, I mean, like I said, why would you do anything else? I mean, this is your passion. You know, this is you're good at it. You're really good at it, obviously, or else people wouldn't watch you. Yeah, I mean, it's a fact. People, you wouldn't have these many views. You wouldn't have these many subscribers if you didn't have an opinion and a voice that people were really interested in hearing from on a very regular basis. Because, geez, 1,500 videos. That's no joke. That is no joke.
That's why I kind of took offense to what Phil said, is like these guys are just doing it for the AdSense. I mean, that's kind of like a bonus. You get to do what you love, you get to promote the sport you love, and they pay you on the side. But like I said, man, I would do it regardless of if I got paid. It's just a matter of, if I had a job, I wouldn't have time to post as many videos as I do. I'd always do it, though.
I talked about that with Phil, and I came back with some of these guys. I've seen some videos where they really do. They are clearly just trying to cash in. You can tell they're not that informed. They don't know what they're talking about, but they can capture some images and screen grabs and this and that. They can fake their way through it. But, I don't think they do that well necessarily, because you can only fake your way for so long before people say, this guy is full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I remember last year when Dave Palumbo made, what was it, 9 videos on Rich Piana's death? Yeah. Because that was the hot topic. And I think that's why he did that.
Absolutely. I mean, why else would you? And then there was one, was it Foul Play?
That's the one. That's the one I was like, wow. I mean, that's just that's too far.
The Russian mob. No, I don't know. Was there a third gunman? I can't remember who was supposed to be the one who was responsible for his death. I don't want to get into that. That's crazy. But what videos have you thought about doing that you just said, better not?
That's a good question.
And maybe you can't get very specific, but just generally speaking, what kind of topics or...
I'd say anything talking about steroids, and that's probably the one thing that I think is hurting Dave Palumbo's channel. Is what a lot of people don't realize is I think the majority of the fan base for bodybuilding is natural guys. I think the population of guys that's actively using gear and interested in the stuff that Dave is talking about in those Ask Dave episodes and stuff, I think that's a very, very small population of guys. If you look at a following of Phil Heath and scroll through those guys, you're going to see a lot of average gym rat, natural-looking guys, and that's the majority of the people that follow the sport. Yeah. So when you make videos talking about topics like that, I think you alienate a certain portion of your potential demographic by doing that. So I've tried to stay away from anything talking about drug use, steroids, the cycles of these guys, like the Dorian Yates cycle, all that stuff. I try to stay away from all that kind of stuff because I think a lot of people don't really care about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They're just fans of bodybuilding and want to enjoy the sport without looking at the negative side of it. That's why I donate a lot of money to natural bodybuilding shows like the Mr. Cincinnati. I sponsored that show this year. Wow. So that's the other thing I wanted to say in regards to Phil Heath saying we're just doing it for money is I think I give back quite a bit to the sport in general.
Yeah, I had no idea you were doing that. Good for you. Yeah,
actually, I sponsored the Indie Pro too.
Oh, wow. I mean, I have to ask you because you have opportunities, I'm sure. If you wanted to get gear or use it, you wouldn't have a problem. So personally, what's your choice? Why do you choose to stay clean?
So last year, well, personally, I just do it for health reasons. But last year, I actually had a health scare where I woke up and I was having really bad heart palpitations. It felt like a bird was just like fluttering around in my chest. It was beating really fast and it was beating irregularly. So I got an EKG done and all this stuff, and it came back normal. But it was like the scariest experience I've ever had in my life. And I decided then, I'm never going to take anything that would possibly exacerbate a problem that might be there. So that's really the reason why I'll never do it. But initially, the reason I didn't want to do it was just health. But now I'll never do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're a celebrity. You're making a really nice living. You got a very decent physique. You got these big biceps. I mean, what would steroids do for you, realistically? How would your life be better with steroids?
If I ever did it, it wouldn't be for myself. It'd be to satisfy other people's opinions. Like the people that say, if you're a natural bodybuilder, why are you interested in talking about pro bodybuilding? How many people that watch the NFL just played high school football? I mean, I can be interested in pro bodybuilding without necessarily wanting to do the things that they want to do. I mean, so if I ever did it, it would be to satisfy the people that say stuff like that.
Which you're not going to do.
Nope.
Good for you, kid. Good for you.
I'll be fine without those people.
Wise beyond your years, Nick Miller. Getting back to what we were just talking about, the videos that do talk about the drugs, like, Boston Lloyd, he's a I guess I could call him a friend. I don't know if he considers me a friend. We chat. We've met up a few times, but that's another niche. Like you said, I don't think there's a lot of people out there. If you look at the big pie of who's watching all these videos and all the Instagram followers, I don't think there's a lot of people using gear. But I think there's like a fascination with gear use, even among a lot of people who don't use gear, where they want to watch someone like Boston or Dave talk about so openly about drugs, or in Boston's case, he's even made videos where he's shooting the drugs and stuff like that. Where do you think it's just like one of a prurient type of fascination where they're seeing something that's taboo and something that's illegal, and it's exciting to them, and they want to be a part of that underworld, if you will?
Yeah, I think it could be that. I think it was that at first, but I think now a lot of people are kind of familiar with what's going on, and probably less people care now. Like at first when it was kind of a mystery, I think a lot more people are kind of wondering what's going on behind the scenes. But now, like with Boston Lloyd, like you said, everything's kind of been brought to light. So I think now the interest really isn't there. And the other problem with it is YouTube, they'll demonetize topics like that. And the problem with getting demonetized isn't the money. It's when they demonetize a video, they're not going to play ads on that video. So as a result, YouTube is not going to recommend that video for people to watch, because YouTube wants to recommend videos that they can play ads on so they can make money. So if your video gets demonetized, it's not going to get any views. So you're going to spend this time making this video that no one's going to see. So that's another reason why you don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Good choices. Now, are you going to get another hedgehog?
I don't know, man. A lot of people keep asking me that. They want my channel to have a new mascot. Maybe.
Where do you even get a hedgehog?
I got it off Craigslist.
I've never seen one at Petco. So.
Oh yeah, they can't sell them at pet stores for whatever reason. They carry some kind of disease that can affect the other animals in there or something. I don't know. I got it off Craigslist.
Are they rodents? What is a hedgehog?
It's a rodent. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I never knew. I mean, yeah, I've often seen those little creepy things and wonder what the hell they were, but I never really had the curiosity to go buy one.
It was a real pain in the ass to try to find a veterinarian that would see a hedgehog, because no one knows anything about them.
There's probably like one hedgehog specialist in North America. And the poor little guy got sick and he passed away, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He had sepsis, I believe, was the problem.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Kind of bad shot. But yeah. So what are some, we talked about what videos you wouldn't make. What's like some dreams, something that you have a concept of that it's going to take some time, it's going to take some real planning to make a video. What's like your dream video or series of videos that you want to do someday?
Well, another thing that I wanted to pursue in the future, probably beyond 1 million subscribers, would be making like mini documentaries on bodybuilding, like day in the life type of stuff, kind of similar to what Generation Iron did, but not really the drama. Like the way they kind of framed it wasn't really realistic. Yeah. I think like miniature documentaries, high quality stuff, maybe once a week after I hit 1 million subscribers, and not like an everyday thing, but something like that, like high production value type of stuff.
Like you would go out in the field and shoot these yourself?
Yep, and I would narrate them.
Right. Well, yeah, obviously you're going to narrate them. I mean, a lot of people know that voice from, you know, I could pick that voice from like 1,000 voices. That's that Nick guy. You know? You know who's got the best narrative voice out there right now is Wesley Vissers.
He does have a great voice. It's insane.
Wesley Vissers coming to you from Copenhagen. No, Amsterdam. Yeah.
His voice is crazy.
Cool, man. Well, Nick, it has been so cool finally talking to you and getting. A lot of people have probably never really connected a face with the voice. They've probably seen your videos and wondered, who is this guy talking all the time?
Well, that's one of the funny things, man, is in person, I've been recognized when people overhear my conversation with someone else. Like in Walmart, I've been recognized because I was talking to my friend. They're like, I know that voice. Is your name Nick by any chance? And that's the weirdest thing for me. But yeah, man, it's crazy.
That's hilarious. It's like a famous DJ or something.
It kind of is.
Luckily for you, you don't have what they call a radio face. A lot of DJs.
I appreciate that.
I've met some DJs and I'm like, oh my God. I'll give one. I was in 8th grade. We had a junior high dance, and there was this woman. I won't say her name because I don't want to be mean to her, but she sounded so sexy on the radio, and she was going to DJ our junior high dance. I was like, oh boy. And she showed up, and she was like 400 pounds and bad complexion and greasy hair. I'm like, oh man. Oh well. Sometimes the fantasy is just better. But yeah, luckily for you guys, this is Nick's a good-looking young kid. He's got a physique on him. He's strong. Would you ever? So you said you'll do probably one more bodybuilding show someday, right?
At some point, yeah, I'm going to do the Mr. Cincinnati for sure. It's definitely on my bucket list of shows.
And what about powerlifting?
I've competed the powerlifting shows. I did maybe 20 contests
Wow.
of powerlifting. The ones that I did were bench press, deadlift, and curl competitions actually. So there was no squat in these meets. And typically I would do deadlift only and curl only.
Yeah.
So my best deadlift was a 535 deadlift. I think was maybe at 181 pounds body weight.
Yeah.
And my curl, I got a national record in the strict curl. A body weight strict curl when I weighed 165 pounds. I curled 165 pounds up against the wall strict.
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal. They said that was like a crazy thing that no one's ever done before. So that was probably the biggest powerlifting thing that I've done.
For people out there who have no idea how difficult it is to do a strict curl with your back flat up against the wall, you have no idea how much assistance you're getting from other muscle groups.
Exactly.
So you try to take your normal weight that you do 10 reps with, people, standing barbell curl, go put your back up against the wall. I guarantee you won't get one rep. Guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, and for perspective, if you put a 45-pound plate on each side of a curl bar, that's 105 pounds. So, so it's 165 is that, plus a 25, plus a 10 maybe. So it's a lot of weight.
It is, yeah. Well, that explains the biceps.
It does.
Would you say that's your best body part?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, that's why I post all quad shots all freaking day long. All you ever see is chest and quads. You don't see a lot of tricep poses for me. There's a reason. So, okay. Cool, man. Well, it's been excellent getting to know a little bit more about you. Maybe we'll do something else in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd be open to that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I want to connect with the young generation. Like, you're only a year older than my oldest child. So.
Oh, really?
You're a lot more mature than her. But anyway, no offense. She won't watch this. She'll never hear that. So, yeah, keep doing your thing, man. 1 million subscribers. So everybody go to Nick's Strength and Power. That is the YouTube channel. The Instagram, I don't know if you're not as concerned about that because those numbers aren't quite as impressive. But the YouTube channel, you also have the website, nicksstrengthandpower.com.
Yep.
Yep. But definitely it's the YouTube channel is the place to be. Nick's Strength and Power. One of the few channels. I don't watch a lot of videos. I don't have a lot of time. But yours are some of the videos that I do sit and enjoy watching on a regular basis. I really
appreciate that, man. That means a lot to me.
It's the commentary. I like when you really get into the deep critiques because, I'm a nerd. I like that stuff.
I appreciate that, man.
Cool. So keep doing your thing, Nick. You're doing a hell of a job. Keep it up. I'm not one of these old guys who's bitter. I like seeing progress and new things. And you guys, you're all breathing new life into this sport. And if anyone out there loves the sport of bodybuilding, if you're 40, 50 years old, you have to accept this and you have to be happy about this because this is the only thing keeping the interest and keeping an influx of people interested in following the sport. Otherwise, it would go away, guys. It would go away.
I agree.
So thank you, Nick, for doing your part.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your time.
Cool, man. All right, everybody. So again, check out Nick's Strength and Power on YouTube. Awesome channel that I love. Highly recommend. Also, keep watching the MD videos on YouTube.
Absolutely.
And, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later.